himself, Magnus. My friends, buckle up. This video will either completely confirm your decisions to play the London, or it's going to inspire you to give the London a try for the first time, or maybe come back to the London. What Magnus does to players of otherworldly level is simply sensational. This is a game that he played against Yu Yang, who is a top 3 Chinese grandmaster, at times number 2, number 3, go back to a little bit more of a positional grinding game. This is against Radoslav Wojtaszek. This is several years ago at the European Team Championship. And there it is, d4, and then bishop to f4, e3. Now you'll notice that in the first game there was a5, in the second game there was a knight on c3, so slight differences. Okay, now it's going back to the first game, and now we have bishop f5, so a capture on d4 and bishop f5, yet another variation, a bit of a symmetrical line. The transformation of no e-pawn, no c-pawn is actually a transformation to the exchange Caro-Kann pawn structure. If I'm talking too fast, the exchange Caro-Kann is of course e4, c6, d4, d5, take, take. This is the exchange Caro. And technically, the game that you are seeing in front of you developed bishop f4, knight f6, knight d2, and bishop f5, which is a very weird setup. Definitely white would have preferred to play bishop d3, but in the setup in the game, the benefit of not playing bishop to d3 yet is that you can play bishop e5, and also you can do this. So Magnus goes over there, and now goes for the bishop. The ever so slightest, tiniest detail of the position is all Magnus needs. He's just trying to win the bishop. The bishop moves to e4. He moved it to e4 because he didn't want to go here. It could get taken like this. So he decided, all right, look, I'm going to move my bishop. You can take it, but this is going to help me activate my knight. And now your knight is stupid and your bishop is loose. Magnus says, that's fine. I'm just going back to f3. I mean, like, jumps the knight here, jumps the knight out, and just brings it right back. And the advantage is you got the knight for the bishop. Like I said, all he needs is the most microscopic of advantages to work with. It's so microscopic, he ends up trading this bishop. I mean, it's literally just a completely equal position. Bishop d3, queen c7, queen c2, and Magnus is just like, look, you can't castle. You might play h6, then I'll castle. So we have oh. Now you're gonna think, oh, Gotham, I know where this is going. I know where this is going, you sly dog. By the way, Gotham, you have a great endgames masterclass. I tried out the free sample, it was amazing. I then bought the full version. Thank you so much. Thank you, you're gonna transform your endgames. Anyway, you probably think that in opposite side castling, both sides are gonna checkmate each other somehow, and it's, and that's, the move a4, there it is, right? Now black is gonna play g5. No, because the thing is, the meta strategy at the highest level of the game is not to punch each other as hard as possible. It's not like watching a heavyweight UFC fight of like top 15 fighters. I mean, it looks like they're just, it's the last person to gasp air is going to win, right? So this is not the same thing. King b8, rook e1, and I told you that the person that frequently wins the battle for the center in the London is going to win the game. And in positional Londons, in Londons where you're not going to deliver a checkmate, you have to pay attention to piece maneuvering and pawn breaks. So will black succeed in breaking for the center? Will white succeed in playing for c4? And you'll notice that Magnus is completely fine moving his queen back to the home square off the pressure over here. Bishop back to the home square as well. He's waiting. He's waiting to see what's up. Rook c1. Rook d8. Rook e2. Maneuvering. Where are we going? b4. He also had b4 on the last move. B4 is a very clear indication that, I want something to happen over here. And I understand that by going b4, I'm weakening my c3 pawn. He puts every piece on the back rank. This is nuts. The knight is going to d3. That's what he wants. The knight getting to the d3 square will be the creme de la creme of the position. So for example, if black waits for another move, I put the knight on d3 and the knight is going to c5. That's why Magnus, a long time ago, brought his queen to d1, brought his bishop to f1, brought his rook to e2. It's because that's what he was going for. That's the missing piece of the Millennium Puzzle right there. e5, but the second that this happens, he gets a reaction from his opponent. One extension committed with the punch. Magnus immediately changes the game plan, kicks the knight out of the center, takes on e5 twice. The rook is loose. The queen is on. Magnus can win a game of chess with every piece on the back rank. This is utter nonsense. This man does not have a single piece past the first rank of the board, and yet he has an advantage because his pieces coordinate better, and they put pressure on the enemy pieces better. c4. I'm pressuring this. I'm also threatening to walk directly into your position and get to the king. The knight cannot get back into the game. The pawn is struggling. The knight is going to come to d3. Knight f3, we get into a rook endgame, but Magnus is too active. His pieces are too coordinated and lethal. He grabs a pawn, and the knockout punch follows with the gorgeous knight e8. Queen defending, coordinating there, and queen c7 is literally checkmate because the bishop that returned to its homeland on f1 defends the pawn. My friends, the bishop on f1 lived a fascinating life. The bishop on f1 went to d3 on the 13th move of the game. The bishop then returned to its home square on the 19th move of the game. And Magnus never moved it again. He never moved it. He moved the bishop out and home, and 38 moves of game ended in a resignation. That is sickening. Do you understand how good this man is at chess? He controls the game without even moving. This is sickening stuff. This is otherworldly type of stuff.